Welcome back to Ferocious Education. Zet. Today I'm going to be talking about SPAQ. I had a lot of requests on this one on my Twitter account. I'm going to go through technical analysis, news, how I think this company will be playing in the future, and my technical rating for this one just for myself. Make sure to drop a like to this video to help the channel grow, subscribe, and leave your notifications on. At any point of the video, if you don't understand any of the technical analysis I'm doing, there's a playlist in the description to explain each of these technical indicators and what they mean. Let's jump right into it. On the 1 month, 1 day perspective, we get to see here on the MACD that we're seeing a positive one. Definitely has a bit of challenges here and there, but it's still nonetheless not seeing a negative reversal anytime soon. Now the volume decreasing from higher to lower might be a little bit of a warning sign, but I'm going to approach this one with a little bit of a longer term perspective. On the ADX, it suggests that there's a very strong positive trend here. On the billion percent R, the stock is neutral, closer to the oversold period, which is good for us. Momentum here seems still to be strong, but a little bit of a pullback, which is fine in this case. Coming into the moving averages, I'm zooming in. You get to see the 10 SMA is above the 30 EMA, and that is bullish. The stock price is above the 50 SMA, the purple line, that's bullish. The stock price is above the blue line here, the 200 SMA. Even though it did dip below, you get to see in the trading action zone between the 10 SMA and the 30 EMA, it did test there and bounce right back. We're going to go on and look into the 1 hour perspective. On the 1 hour perspective, we get to see an MACD that has gone negative, and it looks like it might be trying to recover a little. Now today is a red day, so keep that in mind as well for the drop. On the ADX, it suggests that there might be a little bit of a continuous negative trend for this one coming in tomorrow. On million percent R though, it's heavily oversold and momentum is a little bit down. But remember, on the 1 day perspective, it still looked a lot better. 10 SMA crossed below the 30 EMA, which is bearish, but the stock price, 50 SMA and the 200 SMA are still below the are still close to the price of the stock and are pointing upwards. Now it did drop below the 50 SMA, so that technically makes it bearish, but I'm gonna ignore a little bit in the 1 hour perspective because today we had a red day, and I'm gonna move on towards the 1 day perspective as higher importance. Moving averages band here, we get to look at the moving average band, and it's expected to trade between 1154 on the lower band, on the purple line in the middle 1284, and on the top around 1415. And usually what it does is that it trades in the upper half or the bottom half. Moving on to Fibonacci retracements quickly to identify significant supports and resistances on the Fibonacci retracements. And we get to see a Fibonacci resistance at 1458 and a support at 1291, and it looks like it hit both of them today. Now to explain a little bit more about the significant supports and resistances. A significant support is at 1355. Below that we're seeing at 1343. Below that 1310. And then below that $13. Below that 1280. Below that 1266. Below that 1235. 1219 and 1185. Significant resistances, that's what a lot of people like to hear. So 1375, 1409, 1425, 1445, 1468, and then following 1487. Now moving on towards news, this one here is a bit more exciting. So the Fisker is to be listed on NYSE through a merger with Spartan Energy Acquisition Corp. If you ever heard of SPAQ, you know that the biggest thing about it is that they're merging or acquiring a company. Now, the parent company for Spartan Energy Acquisition Corp is Apollo. And so this news was released all the way back in July 13th, and it's basically going to be $1 billion of gross proceeds to the company, including $500 million fully committed common stock pipe at $10 per share. Anchored by existing and new investors, including more strategic ventures, Alliance, Bernstein funds, and accounts managed by BlackRock and Federal Herman's Kaufman. Positive stuff. Production is set to start at 2022, and that is positive news. Now, moving on, Apollo portfolio is $300 billion annual, 35% 10-year SAGR, and around 230 plus investment professionals. So it does look like it's actually being led by a high company with a lot of support. Fisker. So this one here is a bit more of a company EV more company. It's an electrical vehicle manufacturer. It still does not have any profits, but it still has prototypes, and the idea is amazing behind this one. So they have California, Sunset, and Pacific Ocean. Basically, that is more regarding the logo and explaining a little bit. I'm not going to go through the logo. That's not something we're concerned about. Arriving in 2022, it's the Fisker Ocean, which will be the most sustainable vehicle. And the materials are going to be from recycled, abandoned fish nets, plastics from the ocean are used environmentally conscious interior. So it's definitely a nice, refreshing way to see where it's more sustainable production. And that's really what separates them out of companies like Tesla, for instance, and all the other ones. What I'm going to go here quickly is a little bit of a comparison. So the total output to be announced in 2021 for this one. Let's take a quick look into Tesla. And I believe this one is the most comparable between the two. And in comparison, we get to see that Tesla does go from 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds. This one goes around 3 seconds, so very much on the same level. Another thing here as well is that it's going to be able to produce more than 300 horsepower, which we get to see here. That's 250 kilowatts, which is very much comparable as well to the 225 kilowatts or more than 300 horsepower on Fisker. So it's very much on the comparable level. Now the next thing that a lot of people are concerned about is purchase price, and that is quite significant. So total cost for this one is probably around 38,000 US dollars, as stated around here. When we're comparing on to Tesla, we're comparing in a lot higher price. So it's definitely a significant competitor to Tesla. Moving on, Spartan Energy Acquisition Corp provides information regarding extension of deadline. And so basically this one gives them until February 14th, 2020 to continue fully with the acquisition. The good news here is that it's estimated to conclude by the fourth quarter of 2020, the full merger, and will likely worth 2.9 billion, including 500 million off-pipe investments. And so the formal merger is expected to conclude by 2020. I'm going to go through more details in a second, but just quickly comparing into a little bit of the competitors out there. Tesla, NIO. So Tesla, NIO, and Nikola. Tesla trades at 10 times forward revenue. NIO trades at 5 times forward revenue. Nikola stock trades 6 times estimated pro forma sales. So comparing it to SPAQ stocks, if you compare it to trade 3 times the revenue of the estimated 2023 revenue, you're estimating around $9.9 enterprise value. But if you add the $1 billion cash that was mentioned earlier, that will include to $10.9 billion. That will give you around $3.52 billion total. And so that will be around 38.88 per share. So you can get to see that it's still undervalued at today's date. The next thing we're looking at here is that Fisker is expected to produce more than 225,000 vehicles a year by 2025, starting in 2022. And that seems to be the launch date as well for this vehicle, is late 2022. Moving forward, we get to see institutional values. There's still a bit more, there's still interest. No decreasing in positions much, except here and there all the way back into the second week of August, but we get to see a really strong hold for a lot of the companies. There is a bit more news about the Vice President appointee for Investor Relations at Fisker Corporations here and there. It's going to be effective at September 1st. And another important thing here, and I'm sorry about the bad quality here, this is the only video picture that I was able to get. Volkswagen and Fisker's in negotiation for Fisker to access Volkswagen MAB electrical vehicle platform. The Ocean has been developed in Volkswagen's new modular electrical vehicle matrix MAB platform, and so if they actually do enable them to or negotiate to get that MAB platform, it will cost approximately half of the time, and costs will be substantially reduced for them to integrate that business model, which would be amazing news for us, and that is a ticking bomb for good PR. And another amazing thing here is that Henrik Fisker is on Twitter, and he's able to give us a lot of updates on Fisker's developments. And so we get to see just by scrolling around that the latest numbers is 33,500 registrations off the Fisker app from 123 countries, although we're adding around 7,000 per day, which is amazing news. Now, moving on, how do I think this one will play, and what is my recommendation for it? So I do still see a really nice uptrend going on, even though we have pullbacks here and there. I definitely do think this one is a solid hold for quite a bit, and even considerably a buy for long term. So for medium term, I would say it's a hold. For long term, it's definitely a buy for me. A really significant support to consider not breaking is around the 1284. That is a significant one, and if we're considering it, if you want to be a little bit more lenient, I would definitely say the 1189. Now, what do you think about this ticker? Make sure you mention down in the comments below. Share, subscribe, and like. You have a wonderful day.